Hello, I'm Deanna de Cabarrus from Songwriting Lessons Online. Today I'm going to show you 3 ways that you can use the art of curiosity and neuroscience to make people love your songs even more. Make your songs memorable so that people want to listen all the way through, support you, come to your gigs, buy your music, etc. So when I started out playing in bands and writing songs, all the people that I knew at the time who had similar interests acted as if writing a decent or great song that people would get hooked by was a sort of magical mystery that you might or might not be able to pull off. And if you did pull it off once, you might or might not ever be able to pull it off again. But there are learnable techniques that can help you organize your ideas and words and the way that you communicate things into songs that people will genuinely engage with. And for me personally, that's something that I really want to achieve. Using curiosity is a massive way that you can get people to have a stake in your song. If you start thinking about the way that information is being transmitted to the listener, they're going to be much more likely to stick with you to the end of the song. So I'm going to show you 3 easy ways that you can create curiosity in your songs, and you're going to recognize all of them straight away. So the first way is to open a loop or leave a gap, and an information gap, and that immediately gets people, their minds just start filling in that gap. So the opening sentence of the song Grapevine is a really good example. So I bet you wondered how I knew about your plan to make me blue with some other guy that you knew before. So we have these multiple layers of information and information instability at the same time. I bet you wonder how I knew. So it sort of clues us in that he's discovered something that was concealed from him. And the other person is only just finding out that he knows this. So there's this kind of inequality of who knows what. How did he know? When did he find out? There's instability. There's been rapid shifts in the balance of who knows what. And that instability is instantly compelling. We want to know what's going to happen. Later in the song, the lyric keeps that curiosity building by continuing to draw out that instability. Do you plan to let me go for the other guy you loved before? We start off with, I bet you wonder how I knew, and now there's another question. What are you actually going to do? That's like the peak moment. So if I was going to say to you that the window was open and the curtain was flapping, but there was no one in the house, I've now created an open loop. We're like, what came in the window? Who was there? What's happened? If you read one of those, you'll never guess what happened next. Or 23 things you'll recognize if you went to university in the year 2000. It might be cheesy, but it works for a reason. It creates this instant open loop. What are those 21 things? And here's the neuroscience bit. Curiosity and dopamine are linked because the brain's reward system releases dopamine in response to new and puzzling information. So the anticipation of getting information as well also triggers dopamine. It's so powerful as a motivation that participants in an experiment opted to pay to get the answer to something really inconsequential and trivial rather than having to wait to find out later. They were going to find out later and it didn't matter anyway. Their brain reward system was still so triggered they decided to pay. Curiosity, it really gets people's mind involved with your song, and that's great. So another way we can create curiosity, we had open loops and information gaps, is just using direct questions. So direct questions evoke curiosity, and they also get our imaginations going because we start filling in the answer. We start engaging with the question that's been asked and committing our own attention to it. And that happens without us really being fully consciously aware. So using questions is a way that your listener is going to start having an attentional stake in what's happening in your song. And there are many different kinds of questions. Really great book about questions by, I can't remember his name. I'll put it in the description. But a future-facing or open question is always a good one. And I call these what-if questions. Like Beach Boys, wouldn't it be nice? Or David Bowie, is there life on Mars? Those could be rephrased as, what if there's life on Mars? What if we could just live together? And those what-if questions allow you to invite the listener in a shared imagining of something. Then there can be why or what questions that can be to do with meaning or how does something happen. And there can be questions that the lyric doesn't answer. How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? Baby, baby, how was I supposed to know that something wasn't right? So I'd say that was more of a closed question than an open question because it's about something specific. But you get the idea. And the third way we can generate curiosity is to subvert expectations or violate expectations. Because when something isn't how we expect it to be, we notice it more strongly. All our systems of sensory perception are wired to detect change, and they kind of go into sleep standby mode if there's no change to detect. And if you imagine reading a book and you hear a sudden noise, it gets your attention. And this works in terms of meaning as well. When something is unusual and its meaning doesn't fit the pattern you expect, it sticks out more and you pay more attention to it. Our brains are always trying to conserve energy, and that's why they kind of work in patterns, and they recognize patterns. When something doesn't fit the pattern, it gets our attention. So the Johnny Cash song, A Boy Named Sue, we get told early on that this boy has been named Sue, and that is in violation of what we expect boys to be called, and it gets our attention. And we immediately want to know how that happened, why it happened, what happened next. How did the boy survive being called Sue in an era of not many Sues? And we get this great payoff at the end of the song as to why he was called Sue. And there are more hooks of unexpectedness in that song along the way. So the singer ends up fighting with his father, and we don't usually expect fathers and sons to fight. And actually, if we think of Johnny Cash, and you think of Folsom Prison Blues, that is full of open loops and subversion of expectations. First of all, we're curious as to why the singer's in prison at all, and then that's revealed, but there's a subversion of expectation as to why you would kill a man in the first place without having any motive, just to watch him die. That's kind of, it subverts our expectations of how humans behave and what motivates our behaviour. So there are 3 ways to create curiosity with your material: information gaps and open loops, direct questions, and the subversion of expectations. And of course, you could use one to do the other. So, This is not something that's often talked about directly when it comes to songwriting, but it can make all the difference when it comes to engaging your listener and just bringing them into your world. And it's quite often part of the solution when we're stuck or when we're worried something is not really landing. If we re-examine or rework our idea with curiosity in mind, it can transform something a bit flat into a memorable song. Even something really mundane, if you, like a cat walking along a wall, whose cat is it? Where is it going? It doesn't have to be a grand theme for you to use curiosity to invite somebody into a little moment in your song. So if you want to put these curiosity techniques to use, grab my free e-guide, 10 creative techniques to start writing songs faster, which you can download here. It's got 10 prompts that you can use again and again to get some ideas on the go. And I would love to read any questions about questions that you might have in the comments. Do drop me a line, share, subscribe. It really helps my channel, helps people find content who are interested in songwriting. I'm Deanna DeCabrius from Songwriting Lessons Online. Thank you very much.